Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Tomorrow night, as Shabbat fades away, we'll welcome in the festival of Passover, the most important holiday to the Jewish people, a holiday that tells us the story of who we are and what we are supposed to be. In honor of Passover, I want to begin tonight with a poem by Rabbi Hera Person entitled Passover Love Song. The Seder is a love song written in the language of silver polish and dishpan hands, freshly grated lemon zest, blanched almonds, ground pecans, shelled pistachios, pitted olives, sliced meat, matzah meal, white tablecloths, to-do lists, trips to Borough Park, and Zahatis. This is how it's done. Ashkenazi charoset, vegetarian chopped liver, my mother's real chopped liver, Bonnie's matzo ball soup, Israeli salad, gefilte fish terrine, chestnut farfel stuffing, tzimmus, leek, and shallot kugel, salmon and grape leaves with pine nuts, turkey and brisket, coconut macaroons, Sephardic lemon pistachio cookies, pecan meringues, and chocolate-dipped apricots. Remember, tables stretched the length of the house, tulips on the mantel, my grandmother's blue glass plates, Aunt Hannah and Uncle Joe's silver Nana's candlesticks, the silver salt bowls from my mother, Frida and Solly's cut glass horseradish pot, the wedding present Seder plate, grape juice stains on the tablecloth, thin paper Haggadot, our mismatched family of friends, silly half versions of songs, and don't lick the wine from your finger after the plagues. Don't be fooled by the easy domesticity of these words. This is more than a recipe for nostalgia. This is an urgent, coded message of survival, adaptation, love. Read between the words.
Olam chesed yibane, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibane, ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane, ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane. I will build this world from love, ya la 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 la. And you must build this world from love, la 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 la. And if we build this world from love, ya la 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 la, then God will build this world from love, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibane, ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane, la 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 la.
In a moment, we'll welcome in the Sabbath bride. And as we do so, this is a wonderful time for you to start thinking, because tonight is going to be an Ask the Rabbi. And I know that some of you think of this more as a Stump the Rabbi opportunity. Either way, it's a lot of fun, but it's time for you to start thinking. And so as we welcome in the Sabbath bride, start thinking about what are the questions that you have on this eve of Passover. We continue on page 138.
Lecha dodi likrat kala v'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala v'nei Shabbat nikavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad השמיענו אליו אחד אדוני אחד שמו אחד ושמו תפארת ולתהילה אחד דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה אחד דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף נעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה
לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We continue with the blessing of the Shabbat candles on page 120, but as we prepare for that, we first welcome in the angels of Shabbat on page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Li Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bokem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, V'melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tziponu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Barchuni l'shalom Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bokem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We rise for the Baruch Hu on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We continue on page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגן יומם ולילה. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
We continue together with the Ve'ahavta on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים Ani Adonai Elohechem Emet.
The Song of Miriam by Rabbi Ruth Sohn. I, Miriam, stand at the sea and turn to face the desert, stretching endless and still. My eyes are dazzled. The sky brilliant blue, sunburnt sands unyielding white. My hands turn to dove wings. My arms reach for the sky, and I want to sing the song rising inside me. My mouth open, I stop. Where are the words? Where the melody? In a moment of panic, my eyes go blind. Can I take a step without knowing a destination? Will I falter? Will I fall? Will the ground sink away from under me? The song still unformed, how can I sing? To take the first step to sing a new song is to close one's eyes and dive into unknown waters. For a moment, knowing nothing, risking all, but then to discover the waters are friendly, the ground is firm, and the song rises again. Out of my mouth come words lifting the wind, and I hear for the first the song that has been in my heart, silent, unknown, even to me.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha kedar b'kodesh, norat tehilot, ozei velen, norat tehilot, ozei velen. מלכותך רעובותיך, בוקי הים נקראו של מרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך ולעבד. יא לילה לילה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לילה לילה, יא לה 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 ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Tomorrow night, as we begin the story, the Magid, the telling of who we are in the Passover Seder, we begin with the words, "My father was a wandering Aramean." We remember how generation after generation, from Abraham to Moses, from Moses to us, endless generations forced to wander, to lay their heads down in places that were not always friendly and not always safe. And so as we sing the Hashkivenu, we remember that there are others still who seek a place of safety, who desire what we all desire, a Sukkat Shalom, a shelter of peace to protect us and all of our loved ones. Page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'amidenu malkeinu for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamideinu malkeinu
We continue on page 162 with Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם.
We continue with the tefillah beginning on page 164. Please rise.
Asurim umekayem emunato lishanei afar michamolcha ba'akev Bechurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'nemanat Lachayot HaKol Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue praying privately from page 172 through 180, either standing or sitting, as is your custom.
Say shalom, bimroma, uya say shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom, bimroma, uya say shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom, bimroma, uya say shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen.
Tomorrow night, our Seder tables will be considerably shorter than what we are used to. Because of the pandemic, for the second year in a row, it will be very small gatherings. Thankfully this year, perhaps a little bit larger than last. But it's a reminder to us how difficult this year has been for so many people. People who are longing for physical health and spiritual health and mental calm. We think of all those in our lives, all those in the world who are in need of healing, of a refuah shlema, a complete healing of body and spirit. And we hold them in our hearts as we offer these prayers for healing on page 371.
Mishaberach Avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mishaberach Imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer.
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 Hear our prayer. And bless us as well.
Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way.
Mi sheberach avoteinu, Mi sheberach imotenu. Hear our prayer,
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 hear our
hear our prayer,
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 prayer.
and bless us as well.
So Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm going to use my handy dandy little tablet to see what questions you have for us tonight. And I think the first question tonight came from Alice and Matanya Guinnessar. And the question looks like it was probably from Matanya. It says that Alice has been taking a class on bioethics, and she wants to know what Judaism has to say about end-of-life assistance. So Alice, we could probably teach a whole class on that. The Talmud actually speaks of it. It talks about what you can and cannot do to assist someone as they get closer to death. Suicide is forbidden in Judaism, but we are allowed to give comfort to those who are ill to make sure that they are not in pain. And anyone who's ever sat by the bedside of a loved one who has been dying in a painful situation from something like cancer knows that oftentimes morphine is raised a little bit higher and a little bit higher to soothe the breathing, to lessen the pain of the person who is passing. And while we know it hastens death, it's not considered the same as suicide from a Jewish perspective. It's giving a person peace and comfort. And we are allowed to offer peace and comfort short of actually assisting someone in their passing, or actively assisting someone in their passing. But we'll talk about that more later. And I just want to make sure this question was not about Matanya. No risky business there. He's still doing good. Was that out of line? Just checking. Let's see. The next question is from Megan. Why do we sing our prayers instead of chant them or have to read them? Cantor, I'm going to toss that one over to you.
I caught it. Thanks for the toss. My favorite question, because the one who sings prays twice. When we raise our voices in prayer, the spark of the divine that resides in each of us grabs on to the spark of the divine of the next person who's raising their voice in prayer, and it brings God right into our presence. A prayer is that much more powerful, meaningful, and felt more deeply when it is sung than when it is simply read.
Amen. Oh, did you just toss it back at me? Oh.
You got it.
Okay. The next question is also a very good one. It's by Harlan. And Harlan wants to know, what do we do during the silent prayer? So in the Reform movement, we call it the silent prayer. In other movements, it really is private prayer because praying in Judaism is rarely silent. If you go to a conservative or Orthodox synagogue, there's usually a little bit more noise and stuff going on throughout the whole thing than in a Reform service. Because you don't have to actually be silent, but Reform Jews, a little more uptight. So what you do is you could either read the prayers in the prayer book. Sometimes you may get stuck on one of them and find a little bit more inspiration. It may kind of really catch you where you're at. So you could read the prayers in the prayer book, or you could simply just sit there and talk to God in your own heart. The word to pray, lehitpalel, is a self-reflexive verb. So it actually is something you do with yourself and to yourself, and actually means, lehitpalel means to also judge oneself in addition to pray. So you could take that as a time of self-reflection, to look at the week, to think about what you're doing that you'd like to do differently, that you'd like to do better. That's also something that you could do during silent prayer. Our next question, excellent question, Janice. Why does it sound like we say the Kaddish twice? Once closer to the beginning of the service and then at the end, and one has a melody and the other one doesn't. So if we were in a conservative synagogue, you'd actually hear the Kaddish more than just twice. And they're different Kaddishes. There's actually 7 different versions of this prayer. Some are longer. The shorter one is the one we do before the Baruch Hu. That's called the Chatzi Kaddish. And the Chatzi Kaddish, meaning half Kaddish, or like part of the Kaddish, is really a section separator. The Kaddish is written in Aramaic and not in Hebrew, and for many centuries that was actually the language of the Jewish people. Hebrew was something that scholars would have understood, and Aramaic would have been what you would have done business in, would have been the language of the day. And so sometimes the cantor may be singing and you're not kind of following along, and then you hear the cantor do the Chatzi Kaddish and you're like, oh, okay, now I know where I am. And then everybody starts the next section of the prayer together. So there's a lot of Kaddishes, and it's literally to get us on the same page. The mourner's Kaddish is the Kaddish we do at the end. That's the one that doesn't have the melody. It's hard to sing when your heart is breaking. I can't imagine finding the emotional wherewithal to be able to sing words of praise, and that's what the Kaddish is. It's a sanctification of God's name, and it's really hard to simply allow words out of your mouth when you've lost someone that you love. And so the mourner's Kaddish we read instead of chant or sing. Let's see, there were some more questions. From Seth Robinson. Why at B'nai Mitzvahs at conservative synagogues does the focus seem to be on the Haftorah, and at Reform synagogues the child does more chanting Torah and less Haftorah? That is because until we came to America, a lot of people didn't know when their birthdays were. I had a heck of a time trying to find out from my uncles when their birthdays were, what year, what date. Still not positive when my father's birthday is, because people born in other countries don't necessarily celebrate birthdays the way we do. And so what you'd get is, oh, they were born the week of Passover, the year before we went to that other country. I mean, that's literally how, my uncle described one of his brother's birthdays. Don't know what year they went to the other country, don't know really anything, but that's how they do it. So if you're talking about a bar mitzvah and you're supposed to be 13 to read Torah, and that's the detailed information you have for the kid's birthday, you don't have them read Torah, you have them read Haftorah, which doesn't have to be read by an adult. It could be read by a minor. And so that tradition is that the child reads the maftir, which is, it's actually like the 8th aliyah for the Torah, and we're only supposed to have 7, so the 8th is like a bonus, so it doesn't count if they're not 13 yet. There's a lot of loopholes in Judaism. And then they read the Haftorah. However, in Reform synagogues, we recognize that child will probably never have another opportunity to read the Haftorah, but they, God willing, will have many opportunities to read the Torah on behalf of the congregation. So we want to prepare them for adults. We also have a pretty firm grasp on when people's birthdays are now. Everything is heavily documented. So we're pretty sure we know when the kid is 13 and celebrate their bar and bat mitzvah accordingly. Let's see. Why do we bend our knees before bowing and when saying Baruch Atah Adonai? And that is because the word Baruch, which is blessed, also is connected to the word Barech, which means bend. So we bend as we bless. And so it's just a little reminder. But we also bow because if you were to go see the Queen of England, you would bow or you would curtsy as a sign of respect. And if we're standing in God's presence and God is the King of Kings, the ruler of all rulers, you should show humility. And it's a way of saying, God, I know I'm about to interrupt you with all sorts of personal requests, and so I'm going to be humble and really pray that you're going to think I'm worthy of what I'm asking. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Did I miss any, Ryan? Isaac is the one who likes to play Stump the Rabbi. Where is Isaac's? Missed that one. So Adam and Eve are the first people to live, and eventually there are thousands of people, and there's actually millions and billions of people. Are they all related to Adam and Eve? Yes, and that is the point of the story. The whole point of the story of creation is to teach all of humanity that we are one giant family. And the rabbis teach that this was done so no one could say that my father is greater than your father. We all have the same parents. So good observation, Isaac. We are one human family, and to call each other separate races is ridiculous. We are one race, the human race, one family, the human family. We may have different ways of expressing ourselves and appearing and celebrating and cooking and all those different things, but we're still family. And then I think there was one more question, wasn't there? Oh, I like her oldest, I'm not going to say the name, she didn't say the name. I like Vicky's oldest question. Did Noah need to take plants on the ark? So there's actually a midrash that his wife, who is not named, but the rabbis name her Naamah, meaning pleasant, that Naamah brought plants and saplings onto the ark. That as Noah was busy with all the animals, she was busy gathering herbs and flowers and saplings so that we could repopulate the land. And then where was the last one? When are you? So when are you supposed to light the candles yourself? Should it be before service or during? So Sarah, that's a great question. So the actual answer would be, if you're talking about supposed tos or have tos, and Reform Judaism isn't always a big fan of doing supposed tos and have tos, the candles ideally should be lit 18 minutes before sundown so that you're not violating Shabbat. If it was me at home and I was watching the service, I would light the candles with all of us here because there's something beautiful about doing the candles together as part of a community. But if I was at home not watching services, I would actually not be personally as interested in the sundown as in when is my family sitting around the table eating, and to begin the lighting of the candle, dinner with the lighting of the candles. Oh, Isaac. What year was the escape from Egypt? So long ago that I don't remember. So there is argumentation about what year it actually is. Some people say it was 3,500 years ago. Some people say 4,000 years ago. I would say that this is kind of like me asking my uncle what year was his brother born. It happened after we were slaves, but before we got to live in Israel, and in between that time, that's when the escape from Egypt happened, someplace in that window. So this is the Zaman Chirutenu, the season of freedom, the season of allergies taking over everyone's lives in Sacramento. This is the season where we should be thinking about freedom, not just our own, but freedom for every human being. So I'm going to ask Michael to sing us a song to help us get in the mood for this beautiful festival.
And before I sing the song, this might be more appropriate with announcements, but I wanted to let everyone know that our famous author congregant, Matanya Ginosar, at the tender age of 92, has published not one and not two, but 3 books this year, and all of these books are about his incredibly interesting, complicated life, both as an Israeli and as an American, and they are in the library at the temple, so you should take them out, read them, and then listen to Matanya talk for as long as he can. So I'm yes, he can talk a long time, but it's always interesting. So I'm going to sing a song now that you probably haven't heard before because it was just written, and it is a version of a song that you've probably heard many times. It's a version of "This Land Is Your Land" by Woody Guthrie, which I've probably sung here before. But many people, particularly progressive people, have thought that that could have been our national anthem, could still be our national anthem, because it tells the story of how we all belong here, and everyone, as we celebrated last week, everyone's forebears were an immigrant at some point, and so we all share this land. So this is a song that was written in Yiddish, but in Yiddish that tracks the story of Passover as well. I mean, it's "This Land Is Your Land" from a Jewish perspective. So I'm going to sing a couple of verses in Yiddish, And in Yiddish, it's das Land ist dein Land, das Land ist mein Land. So I'm going to sing them in Yiddish and in English. Ich hab mir gewandert in ein Land der Freien, ein Haus von Midbar, wie mir Mitzrayim, gesucht an Nähen, Jerusalem. Das ist ein Land für mir und dir. Das Land ist dein Land, das Land ist mein Land, von Kalifornien bis Ellis Island, von die Graus Osres bis der breite Jammer. Das ist ein Land für mir und dir. I'll sing it in English now. I wandered around in a free land, going out from the desert like leaving Egypt, searching for a new Jerusalem. This is a land for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to Ellis Island, from the Great Lakes to the wide oceans. This is a land for you and me. Ich geh arriba die Berg und Täler, herumgringe von süße Keller, der Liche murmein, der Vögel singen. Das ist ein Land für mir und dir. Das Land ist dein Land, das Land ist mein Land, von Kalifornien bis Ellis Island, von die Graus Osres bis der breite Jammer. Das ist ein Land für mir und dir. I walked all over the mountains and valleys and was encircled by sweet voices. The streams babble, the birds are singing. This is a land for you and me. Das Land ist dein Land, das Land ist mein Land, von Kalifornien bis Ellis Island, von der Groß Osres bis der breite Jammer. Das ist ein Land für mir und dir. Das ist nicht Russland, das ist nicht Deutschland, das ist nicht Schweden, das ist nicht Schweizland, das ist ein Richland mit Platz für alle. Das ist ein Land für mir und dir. Das Land ist dein Land, everybody, das Land ist mein Land, von Kalifornien bis Ellis Island, von die Graus Osres bis der breite Jammer. Das ist ein Land für mir und dir. And it still is.
Everyone. Fabulous.
Michael, I don't know what was funnier, saying everyone to an empty room or to singing a song in Yiddish.
You know, it's well balanced.
I like a layered joke.
Thank you for that.
We continue now with our, oh wait, no, I forgot
have
something. Announcements. Announcements would be good. Someplace. Uh-oh. So some announcements, as you may have seen in the chat. Tonight is we'll have an Oneg following services. The Board of Trustees will be hosting it. Should be a lot of fun, and we hope that you'll join us for the Zoom Oneg immediately following services. Tomorrow morning, Shabbat continues with Torah study at 9:30 in the morning. There will be no Shabbat services at B'nai Israel tomorrow morning, but there will be Shabbat services throughout the United States. And we hope and we encourage you to check out use this as an opportunity to check out what congregations around the country are doing. It's always fun to hear different melodies and different readings, and then come back home and know that you love hanging out with us. So go and have fun in the morning checking out other services. Tomorrow night, we wish you all a Zis Pesach, a sweet and good Passover for all. And if you miss sitting around a huge Passover table with lots and lots and lots of people, then join us on Sunday night on Zoom, because we'll have lots and lots of people joining us, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Cantor and I have all sorts of things planned for Sunday night, so we hope that you'll join us. And I want to say thank you in advance to our wonderful sisterhood for making sure that we're able to do this together, and a big thank you also to Arla and Aharona Catering for making it possible for people to be able to order in for both the first and second night of Passover, our Seder meals. And so thank you to all of you for making us a little less sad that we can't be here by bringing the temple into our own homes. So the Sunday night, second night Seder on Zoom will be at 5 p.m. Information is on the website. On Tuesday, because it is Passover, Sunday morning there is no religious school because it's Passover. Sleep in, enjoy yourself with a nice crunchy piece of matzah to munch on for breakfast. And then on Tuesday, there is no Hebrew school or confirmation class, again, because it's a Passover break. Next Friday morning, we will have Yizkor services at 9:15 in the morning for the last day of Passover. And then next Saturday morning, we'll be back with Torah study, mini minyan, and Kavanah Shabbat next week. Also, next week on Sunday, April 4th, 2 Sundays in a row, our kids will be off for Passover. But on Sunday, April 4th, just as Passover is over and we still have fresh in our minds the mission of freedom, of real freedom for all people, the Racial Justice Committee will be hosting a discussion on Zoom. Pre-registration is required, but again, like everything else, all the information is on our website or in the Chadashot. And then lastly, also on Sunday, April 4th, at 5 p.m., Kesher will be holding their Medor Lador teen session. So please look at the Chadashot and the website for details, and you'll be able to find all the links that you need to be able to join us for all of these events. I also really want to say thank you to Ryan and to Dean. It is lovely to be able to look out and see friendly eyes looking back at us. I'm assuming there's smiles underneath those friendly eyes, but it's just really good to be able to celebrate with both of you. Michael, every week you pull something new out of your guitar, and it's always fun and always delightful.
Sometimes it's a rabbit.
That would be fun and messy, but fun. And Cantor, it's lovely to pray with you in a language that we both understand. It is just always a joy spending time with you.
I get that and I understand it.
So now we continue with our service on page 586.
Well, that's not completely true. Because as I've been listening to your
Did I
words...
forget something?
No. Well, you haven't forgotten anything, just where we're continuing. Because as I've listened to the readings and I've been thinking about Passover, I am pulled to do the Aleinu L'Shabeach that Dan Nichols gave to us, that is both in English and in Hebrew. So the Hebrew will come on page 591.
Ooh, you're going fancy. And you know what? You know what the best part about that is?
What's that?
Whenever a Jew hears you've skipped pages, it just makes their life a little bit better. And you just made so many people so delighted.
Yes,
if you were one of those people, feel free to write it in the chat. Let us know if when she went from, instead of 586 to 591, you smiled a little bit bigger.
It's what we learn right after the Shema. It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were freed to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. Va'anachnu koreim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malachei hamalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Out of all of the holidays that we celebrate throughout the year, the one that for me is the hardest one in terms of having lost people I love, it has to be Passover. Because each year, as I look around the table, it's hard to see it's hard not to see just the people who are sitting at the table, but to also see the people who used to sit around the table with us as well. And for those who have most recently lost a loved one, I know that this year will be a particularly difficult Passover. And our hearts go out to each and every one of you as you see the image of your loved ones standing behind the table instead of sitting at it. And it is our practice at the temple to welcome back into our midst those who have most recently lost their loved ones. And it is with great sadness that we have 3 families in our congregation that have lost loved ones within the last week. And so first, it is with great sadness that we announce the passing of Stuart Joel Dicker, the beloved father of Joshua Dicker, Benjamin Rosen, and Rivka Rosen, and beloved grandfather of Eva and Claire Dicker and Jace Romaker and Hannah Rosen. My most beloved memories of Stuart go back 20 years when the fire hit and we were in exile from this space. And Stuart stepped forward and he built an ark for our congregation so that we might still worship together. It was truly an act of love. It was really, I think, an expression of who he was, creating something beautiful and doing so from his heart. It's how he raised his children. It's how he gave of himself to his grandchildren and to his friends. It was always from a place of love. And I know that Stuart will be greatly, greatly missed by his family and his friends. It has also been a very difficult week for the family of Ilona Milch. Ilona passed away what day? late last week? Late last week, days seem to run into each other. And she was the very beloved and adored mother of Judith Milch, beloved mother and adored mother-in-law of Rick Goldberg, and beloved grandmother of Henry and Clara Goldberg. Cantor and I are going to forever miss seeing her sweet smile when she came to services, and not just when she came to services, but wherever she went. Ilona was always so joyful and full of love and full of joy wherever she was and whoever she was engaging with. She was a blessing to her family and a blessing to all who knew her. It is also with great sadness that we said goodbye to a beloved longtime member of our congregation. Robert Bob Dinsfriend, the beloved husband of Roz Dinsfriend and beloved father of Taryn and Felice Dinsfriend, also passed away late last week. Bob and Roz have been members of our congregation since, I think, 1959 or 1960. Bob was somebody you saw every time you went to the Capitol or to the Railroad Museum. He was a docent in both places for years, always with a big smile on his face, full of enthusiasm, so happy to share two places that were special with him to all the visitors that come through the Capitol and through the railroad. And I will forever picture his face sitting just over to our left, sitting in services next to his beloved Roz, just happy to be here. And we will miss him a great deal. Also with sadness, we recall the recent passing of Christine Wells Avina, the beloved niece of Amelia Lorenzo and George de Cataldo. Also sadly, we recall the recent passing of Mylan Buck, the beloved brother of Deborah Eula and beloved brother-in-law of Reed Koppel. And also, sadly, we recall the recent passing of Edwin Cohn, the beloved father of Stephen Cohn, beloved father-in-law of Catherine Travers, and beloved grandfather of Adam Cohn and Nicole Cohn Kapoor of blessed memory. May all, Zichronam Livracha, may all of their memories forever be a blessing. We also recall loved ones who have passed away at this time in years past. We remember Lieselotte Berghausen, Marshall Boschus, Gussie Brash, Donald Burnside, Lauren Friedman Chatham, Suzanne Clark, Robert Dickman, Katie Deansfry, Andrea Fitzwater, Bessie Fleischman, Ray Ford, Anna Goldberg, Norma Goldberg, Mary Shields Gordon, Saul Gorfain, Mildred Gould, Philip Green, David Harkavi, William Core, Nathan Crotinger, Goldie Crotinger, Leah Lewis Lehrer, Lucille Levin, Harry Magat, Paul Margolis, Eleanor Marks, Florence Miller, Louis Nessman, Fanny Samaville Neustadt, Hannah Paker, Sid Panish, Jamie Reines, Murray Robinson, Barbara Savitt, Edward Sarin, Julia Shelton, Judith Siegel, Lorraine Solomon, Addie Steinberg, Anita Teich, Hans Willis, and Don Weissman. If there are names of loved ones that you would like to add to the Kaddish list today, please feel free to write those names in the chat so we could add your loved ones to those whom we are saying Kaddish for tonight. And if you are saying Kaddish for someone tonight, I invite you to please rise as we offer these words of comfort to you. Hamakom yenechem enchem betok sha'ar avlei Tzion v'Yushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We all rise to offer support and comfort to those who mourn as we continue together on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei uvyomei uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'alam umei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha barichu, le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma ve'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Osei shalom b'marmav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us all say, amen.
Amen.
Cantor,
Yes, Rabbi.
what beautiful piece of music, what prayer do you have for us tonight?
As we prepare for the festival of Pesach, we should sing tonight Chazak, that we should go from strength to strength and continued strength, because when we do that together, when we journey together, when we raise our voices together, that can only lead to goodness. We have come from near and far to raise our voice in song, and the more we join in the refrain, the more we feel strong. Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek. There is a power in this place and time. It shapes the rest of our lives. For when we return each year, we find a truth we can't deny. Be strong and let us strengthen one another. Be strong and let us celebrate our lives. Be strong and let us strengthen one another. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. As we sing, we link ourselves to those who came before, and we're one with all those yet to come. Our strength it will endure. Be strong and let us strengthen one another. Be strong and let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Chazak.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.